Please welcome Cheryl Hines.
All right.
You know, it's really sad when you think you're going into friendly water for a swim, like your best friend's swimming pool. Turns out they put a shark and piranha in there for you. Cheryl Hines thought she was walking into friendly territory among her peers and friends, only to find out she was on an episode of Shark Tank, and she was the food. Hi, I'm Pastor Marty. Welcome to the Afternoon Drive. Please make sure that you are subscribed to the channel, and once you are, smack the bell, click the word all. That will give you notification to my rants, my ravings, my undeniably flawless reasonings. Hey, please like and share this video. It's the only way that we get the word out that we're here. Thank you so much for watching and being a part of the Afternoon Drive. Cheryl Hines, who is the wife of Health and Human Services Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr., is also an actress, and she's written a memoir about her life called Unscripted, and she was going on to The View to talk about her book. And of course, that's not exactly what they were going to be interested in talking about. And Cheryl herself is your typical liberal, West Coast liberal. She votes that way because everybody in the industry does, and it's all about virtue signaling and doing the right thing. But she herself doesn't hate people on the right. She can function in a society where Republicans and conservatives are running things, and she might, on causes that she believes in, speak up and speak out, but she doesn't tell anybody else how to vote or who they ought to vote for. She just says you ought to be engaged and you ought to vote. She doesn't realize that the Democratic Party has moved so far to the left that, they have gotten to the place where they no longer say to even one another, I can't stand with you on that issue, but if you don't agree 100% with me and walk in lockstep, then I can't stand you. And she thinks she's entering friendly water here, and she's about to find out different. Oh, it all starts out with the wonderful, the kissy kisses, and, we're going to talk about your time on Curb Your Enthusiasm with Larry David. Now, I have to be completely honest. The only thing I have ever seen Cheryl Hines in, because I'd never watched Curb Your Enthusiasm, I saw her in the movie with Robin Williams, RV, and I've seen that movie 3 or 4 times. I thought she was very good in it, and she played well against Robin Williams. That said, this friendly, even Joy Behar having some exchanges back and forth. If you go back and watch the full episode, you can see the looks that Joy is giving Cheryl, like, you're not my friend anymore. I can't believe you are married to that man who endorses that other man. I mean, the liberals really went hot and heavy after Cheryl Hines, that she needed to stop her husband from serving with Donald Trump. And then when that helped get Donald Trump elected, I mean, the knives have been out for Cheryl Hines, that why didn't she end her marriage? Why didn't she walk away? Why didn't she do the principal thing and be an unhappy hag like the rest of us here on The View? But of course, Whoopi Goldberg would have some insight.
A few moments later.
I do want to say, he's not a doctor and he's not a professional.
Yes.
And oftentimes when he's talking...
Which is exactly why we like Bobby Kennedy, because he's not connected to Big Pharma. He's not out there doing favors and getting favors, and he is there because this is a man who is, well-researched, incredibly smart, has done his homework, and that is what makes him dangerous to those of you who don't want you to think, they just want you to do what you're told. But Cheryl Hines handles this beautifully.
90% of secretaries of HHS have not been doctors.
And now the sharks think that they are circling their prey in the water. And yet again, here they come under the guise of, Cheryl, we really love you, but this vile man that you're married to and the vile man that he helped get elected, how can you do this to us?
The problem, respectfully, is that your husband is the least qualified Department of Health and Human Services head that we've had in history.
I do not.
think that's a very dangerous.
Why is he less qualified than an economist?
I think
How is
that he is
possible?
less
He has
qualified.
spent his career studying toxins, studying people's health, fighting for one guy who was using Roundup for his job.
He has also spread a lot of misinformation.
First of all, Cheryl Hines is much sweeter than she should have been in this environment. I mean, the first thing she should have said to Sonny is, if we're going to talk about husbands, we're going to talk about vile things that husbands do. Let's talk about your husband, Sonny, the gifted surgeon who is under investigation and indictment. He and his partners for literally stealing millions and millions and millions of dollars in fraudulent charges to healthcare providers. Gee, doesn't that make healthcare more expensive for everybody else because of what your husband and his associates did, and you're living off the fruits of that? But again, Cheryl Hines kept her cool. Let's talk about these so-called doctors that have been smart and in charge. Let's talk about the last Health and Human Services Assistant Secretary we had, Dr. Rachel Levin. Richard Levin. Because Richard couldn't even figure out if he was a boy or a girl. So the ugliest woman you have ever seen, a man trying to make himself look like a woman, putting on a Navy admiral's uniform to somehow, see, I'm important. I'm a doctor. I know things. Never been in the Navy. Don't talk to me about this when the so-called modern science and medicine of today can't even tell us what is a female, can't define it. And then don't get me started on COVID.
When people were saying when you get the vaccine, you cannot transmit COVID. It will stop COVID. And that was disinformation, misinformation.
We were also still learning about it. It was a novel virus we've never encountered before.
Right.
Oh, my soul. These women on The View are the most uninformed, unintelligent individuals. They are simply there to read a teleprompter. And the quasi-fake, phony conservative saying, well, it was a novel virus and we didn't know. No, we knew. Some of us from the very beginning knew, and we talked with people like Dr. Malone, who was one of the inventors of the mRNA vaccine technology, which led to the Rovid vaccine, the magic elixir, love potion number 9. And he was trying to tell people, this is a leaky vaccine. It's not going to do what you say it's going to do. And by the way, I lost my channel trying to report on these things during Rovid. Had to fight to get it back, and I can't even tell you how many times I had videos pulled down and I was not allowed to post for a week, then 2 weeks, then a month. It was unbelievable. So I just let it go. Jimmy Dore and his archives handled this beautifully. Anytime I even said the word Fauci, it was like I got flagged and I was gone for a month. The bottom line here is, if you have done your homework even now, post all of that, because we're allowed to talk about it now. We find out that, hey, it was admitted to European consulates that, none of these big pharma companies ever even tested the efficacy of this vaccine. They just rolled it out. And Donald Trump is in a hard knock place because he wants to take credit for the Operation Warp Speed and getting it out there so quickly, and that saved bullhawk. Bullhawk. Sorry, Mr. President. But he was under pressure because the powers that be around him, starting with the traitor within, Mike Pence, and his boy toy, Fauci, because they had orchestrated other events in Indiana when he was governor of Indiana, Mike Pence that is, Trump believed that there was no way that America could ever get back to normal if he didn't get out there on the jab. And of course, then all of a sudden Fauci said, well, it's not going to be ready for years and years and years. And then as soon as it was announced Joe Biden had won the election, Fauci comes out literally like a week later and said, we got it. And by December, we can start inoculating the nation. And so we know all this now. Some of us knew it then, and we're trying to report on it. But we certainly know it all now. And so for the View to sit there and say, well, we didn't know. You didn't want to know. You didn't want to do any of your research. You wanted to sit there, and we're letting the doctors and the experts tell us. How'd that work out for us? I'm glad Bobby Kennedy Jr. is Director of Health and Human Services. I'm glad. You know, pointed out one of the things that all the little hens there on The View agreed with her on was when she said, and my husband is fighting to get the poisonous dyes and chemicals, and a lot of them are poly-based, that's literally plastic that we're ingesting, and he's getting that out of our food. And they were all like, well, that we applaud him on. That we're really happy about. And then she said brilliantly, well, the Health and Human Service directors who approved all of that were doctors. Cheryl Hines, she's sweet, but she showed me something in this interview. She's no pushover. Good for her.